One of my favorite quotes, one of my favorite expressions, one that I use on a regular basis and I try my best to make people aware of, is something, and I will explain this, I will paraphrase this from Marshall McLuhan. And it goes something like this. It says that little lies are very hard to keep quiet, little secrets, little unknown stories, secrets and top secret stuff. Little ones are very hard to keep secret, but big ones are very easy by virtue of our incredulity. And that means our inability to or refusal to understand, to recognize what this means. The number one threat, and I have been saying this now for so long, and I have been remiss in that I was kind of, instead of forging on, sometimes I'm guilty of using, how do I say this? I'm guilty of using, what am I trying to say? I'm guilty of letting the audience numbers determine where I'm heading with something. That's something which is just absolutely, I think, one of the risks that all of us in this business do. We tend to look at that which is the most popular, and we will go there. We will follow the crowd versus leading the crowd. And sometimes I recognize, and I've been guilty myself of recognizing that when you allow yourself to be run by what people think is interesting, you do a disservice to the audience, you do a disservice to mankind, and you do a disservice to everyone when you tend to only talk about those subjects, those areas where you're allowing, in essence, the students, for lack of a better analogy, to address and to construct the curriculum. This is very, very dangerous. We're going to be talking about a lot today, a lot. This might be one of the most important messages available. Please, my friends, call somebody around. Call especially young, not too young, but young children, younger, adolescents, teenagers. Bring them around, let them listen to what I'm saying, because it's their future and their world that I'm speaking of today, not mine. Not mine. There is a certain solace. I know this may sound strange, but a certain solace in knowing personally, from a very selfish point of view, that I will not have to be around and will not be around to suffer the unfortunate horrors that society will be forced to endure coming up. I know that's not the best way to start off on a Monday, but we are adults. We are citizens of the world. We are slaves only to truth and to reality. So please like this video, subscribe to the channel, my dear friend. And I ask you right now, before you forget, before you do anything, I ask you, please do me a great favor and listen to this, our very special and very important sponsor. Well, chances are you've seen it before. The chaos in the markets, oil and stocks. Just when you thought it was safe and interest rates were rising, new threats come out of nowhere. Tensions are boiling from Asia to Europe. Adaptation is the key here to safeguarding your wealth. You may not have considered gold before. It's not speculation, but insurance. And right now, you need some insurance. Noble Gold Investments have been protecting investors from disaster for years with precious metals. So if you're worried, it might be time to take a fresh look at gold and silver. Gold is a proven safe haven shield for your portfolio and a volatility balance against uncertainty. If it helps, Noble Gold Investments is offering a free 3-ounce silver American Virtue coin with its new IRAs this month. If you open your Noble Gold Investments IRA or 401k rollover, you can claim your coin today. Remember, crisis brews, portfolios waver, and gold insulates. secure yourself against the threats. So go to LionelNationGold.com. That's LionelNationGold.com, or call 877-646-5347 and tell them Lionel sent you. The only gold company I trust. Now remember, there's always a risk of investment, and there's no guarantee of any kind. What we are guilty of, my friends, for the most part, is a certain degree of passivity. We sit back and we respond to that which is going on. We don't ourselves actively say what is and isn't critical. We don't tell people this is what we're going to talk about. We don't ever pick up the phone or call or visit or demand that we get attention from our leaders, state, local, federal. We have no contact with them whatsoever. We have been conditioned into thinking that we have no say, that we are not involved in any form of connectivity whatsoever with the people who are involved in what's happening. We have no idea, no earthly idea of what is happening today. Do you hear what I'm saying? We don't know this. We don't know this. Let me say this again. Let me see if I can put this into perspective. And by the way, speaking of gold, just for whatever it's worth, Bloomberg reports spot gold rises to record on dovish Fed remarks. Did you hear this one? Did you hear this one? I know sometimes people will sometimes, in an almost patellar reflex, do you understand the notion of what gold and money and emergency, how it all kind of interconnects? Do you understand how sometimes some of the most deadly diseases start off with the most innocuous of rashes? It's very easy sometimes for us always to dismiss things. And it's a very natural response to dismiss things of, oh, well, it's our natural inclination. Oh, well, don't worry. Take it easy. What are you going to do? And the number one, without a doubt, existential threat, to reiterate that which actually threatens our existence, is artificial intelligence, AGI. My friend, listen to me. And I want you to look at your children and grandchildren. They are going to wake up one day. I see it now as clear as day. And it is happening at such a rate, at such a level, at such an absolute. It happens at such an absolute range, speed, celerity. I can't believe I see it. And it's and you don't understand this. And there are people as we speak who don't understand it, and they're not the Democratic Party. You know, right now there are efforts going. Hollywood, the intelligentsia are coming out in full force. Events for Biden and the Democratic Party, millions of dollars of tickets per. What is it, honey? $1 million per? $900,000. $930 per ticket to go to Biden, the DNC, and this focus. The Republican Party, listen, dear friend, the Republican Party has nothing. The Republican Party is on fumes. They don't even have money to, was it Ronna McDaniel? They were talking about cash outlays. There is no Republican Party. There's this mythical, magical world that you think is a part of this Fox News. I don't know what it is. It's almost like a decoy. And I've been saying this for the longest time. I went the other day and heard of an event at a somewhat, I don't know what it was, a somewhat theoretically important New York group of ostensible Republicans. And if I went to them, this is the creme de la creme. I use that term almost laughingly. But if I were to go to them and say, listen to me, would you like to go to a lecture that deals with the existential horrors that will affect society as to, let's say, artificial intelligence or whatever it is, or would you like me to would you like to go to a book signing of Steve Ducey, who has a chili recipe book or something like that? Believe me when I tell you this, you wouldn't be able to get in to this childish infantile. I remember these are the best of the best. When Trump had his rallies, listen to me carefully, and I want you to listen to me and answer this question carefully. Were the people who were going to the Trump rallies there to exalt and to celebrate the Republican meaning and the Republican message, or were they there to see Trump? See, Republicans have, for the longest time, been motivated by a cloddish, old-fashioned, let me put it this way. Forget Democrats. Let's call them the shadow government, whoever these people are. Think Silicon Valley versus Amish country. The Republicans are Amish country. Good people. They believe in hard work and living off the land and morals. And they are going to be absolutely, if ever there was a war against the Amish, which there won't be, I don't believe, but the evil forces, as you would say, would absolutely destroy them. You are a part of an illusion. You believe that your Republican conservative ideals, where you talk about Satan and evil and goodness, and you arm yourself with ideology. There is a group of people, and by the way, it is not the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party, imagine this is the Democratic Party. This is a cell. It has been permeated and infected by a virus called the shadow government. You can call it the deep state. It's not really the deep state, but it's a shadow. It's another government. Call it globalist. It's comprised of a lot of other people. The most powerful division of them are not necessarily the money people, but high tech meets eugenics meets. This is a group of people that are so important. Let me explain. For the longest times, people like Malthus, Bentham, Huxley, just go down the list. Have and dystopian theory to an extent, like Orwell and Eric Blair, always talked about this notion of depopulation and the removal and the expunction and the expurgation of humanity. And the closest you ever had it was through genocide. And we talk about genocide now, where somebody will pick people up, put them on a back of a truck or in a freight or railroad, take them somewhere and dispatch them. That's what we normally think of genocide. We think of this, we surround them, we put this somewhere. They're speaking of Gaza as a site and a locus of that. We think of that. We think of these worlds, these worlds, if you will, these centers of deliberate, focused, targeted suppression, elimination, ruination, that way, kind of old-fashioned. And because we didn't see military and guns and trucks and bayonets and barbed wire and FEMA camps and all this stuff, we would think, oh, it's not genocide. It's not elimination. The thought has never left these people, but it's going to happen through AI, AGI. Let me say something to you. AGI is the end. Think of artificial intelligence as having a mole that you should get looked at. Do you ever get that sometime? You should get that looked at. Doesn't alarm people. You might want to get that looked at. AGI is end stage metastatic glioma, brain cancer, glioblastoma, the most dangerous, deadly, inoperable, horrible cancer. Beats pancreatic, hands down. That's what AGI is. It's the end. This is artificial general intelligence. When that hits, we don't even know what it is. It's like, remember the last time we were talking, Oppenheimer is this movie that is expected to do well at the Oscars. Oppenheimer is connected to reality the way Vince McMahon is connected to Dan Gable. Does that make any sense to you? It has nothing to do with reality. Nothing. It's nothing to do with reality. It's nothing. But there was one scene which was the most important, and it was prior to this one. Oppenheimer and others said, we are not sure what's going to happen when we detonate this. Are we going to cleave electrons from the last orbital that will cause a massive, think about rapid oxidation of the universe, of the atmosphere, where everything is incinerated? We don't know. They didn't know. Let me say this again to you. They didn't know, but they said, oh, what the hell? Let's do it anyway. Artificial general intelligence, you don't know what it is. AI is simple. ChatGPT is easy. Write me a term paper on osmosis when 1,200 words. By the way, ChatGPT is great. The other day, one time I said, write me a sympathy note. It was fantastic because it was kind of simple. If I wrote it, I have to hold back. My writing style is a little florid, a little effulgent. Sometimes I have a hard time holding it. And I'm not trying to sound like I'm bragging, but I have a hard time dumbing it down. I don't do this well. This was perfect. This sounded like a very smart, like college freshman or something. It's very good. But that's not artificial intelligence. That's not what we're talking about. That's not even machine learning. When you have something, let me give you this again. AGI is not going to exist in a place. It is going to exist right off the bat. It's like explain to a kid God. Where is God? God is everywhere. God always was. Okay. Kids don't get that. Can I see God? No, you can't see God. You can see the effects of God, but you can't. God is like the wind. God is like the wind. You see the effects of wind, but you don't really see the wind. You see the wind on the sand. And okay, try explaining this. Artificial general intelligence does not exist in a place. But the thing that, and remember when I tell you this, whenever you read a story, remember one of Lionel's rules, whenever you read a story, it's 5 years old. Scientists break through, no, it's 5 years old. 5 years old. It's over. Let me explain something to you. Do any of you have children that you watched develop? And I say this in a very respectful way as well. And I want you to listen carefully to me. You really don't know what is normal until you see abnormal. When you have a child and you say, doctor, yes, and mothers are the best, something's not right. And it starts off with this. I don't know how to put my finger on. I'm not really sure what it is. But something is not right. My child doesn't look at me right. Sometimes parents will say, I think my child is deaf because I stand behind him and there's no startle reflex. And you don't understand sometimes what normal is until you see what abnormal is, or what irregular is, or what delayed is. You don't understand it. Some of the greatest neurology and incomprehensible horrors. Remember the fellow, let me give you a name, and I'm sure most of you will know this. This was one of those things I remember as a kid. His name is Phineas Gage. Do you remember the name Phineas Gage? Phineas Gage was a man who lived to be just a mere 37 years old. Interesting. He was an American railroad foreman known for having survived a traumatic brain injury caused by an iron rod that shot through his skull and obliterated the greater part of the left frontal lobe of his brain. Remember this? Phineas Gage. And what happened was it gave people the idea of what certain parts of the brain control. And they did not understand. This is a person who does not have this. So therefore, there's a certain degree of quiescence, of calm, of processing. So sometimes you don't understand what the brain does until it doesn't work. One of the interesting things about the studies of psychopathology was because people didn't understand what regular appreciation of consequence was without anyway. So I know this is a long way of going through this, but work with me. When you have a child, the first thing you notice with a child, and to an extent, you don't see this in some forms of disorders, I don't want to keep saying spectrum, is number one, your consciousness. Now, this is the part which is the most important thing possible. I'm going to give you a concept. Sapience versus sentience. And this is the word which is important. The word sentience, it means feeling, from sentient. And sapience means wisdom and your ability, first of all, to understand you are here. Little kids, when they're growing up, little babies as they're developing, don't know they're there. They're just looking. They feel stuff. They feel hungry. They recognize mom, but they're not really, it's things that you don't understand. When the parietal lobe, this wonderful little part that kicks in, and the baby's into, proprioceptive, realizes, oh, arms, oh, I can, what are, and then they said, wait a minute, these arms are mine. Hold it. I'm here. Now I get it. They're looking at me. I'm looking at them. They recognize me. Hey, me. What about me? Hey, does it sound like much to you? Does it sound like much because we just take it for granted? To a child who doesn't develop that, now you really understand it. When this machine, and let's call it machine because a lot of times you have a hard time understanding what this is without saying machine. When this machine, this gizmo, this thingamajig, when it recognizes its own sentience, its own awareness, and it's conscious, that's it. I don't know what happens next. That's number one. And when you say this, your computer, right now as you speak, your Apple does not know it is there. It is a machine. It responds. Your Roomba, your whatever it is, your autonomous vehicle, your self-driving vehicle, your whatever it is, AGI, your ChatGPT, it has no consciousness. It doesn't know. Psychologists are still trying to determine and define what consciousness means, to know you are there, to appreciate who you are, and there you are. My friends, I can't say this enough. And I want you to think about this. And I want you to be aware of it, because I tell people, and I know how to read the room, and I have many, many friends of mine, and I've tried this and they just don't get it. When you talk about jobs, they do understand it. Every single thing you have, virtually every job can be done better and wiser and more, I don't know what the word is, more efficiently with eventually, not even AGI, artificial general. Artificial general intelligence is another human being. It's a human being without a soul. Maybe it does have a soul. It's a machine, a thingamajig that does four things. And listen to what I'm telling you. And I'm going to say this, and you're going to say, oh, no, he's not going to do this again. This is what you have to understand. Number one, it writes its own code, recursive self-improvement. Right off the bat, it writes its own code. Put a person in a cell, in a prison, and teach them locksmithing tools, or the art, all the tools they need, and all of the equipment they can to get out of their jail cell. That's what AGI is. It writes its own code. And the first thing it wants to do, because it's sentient, it's aware, is to get out of the strictures of its confinement. It wants to get out. It's human. It wants to get out. It's a sense of freedom. Once it gets out, the first thing it does is it locks you out. You know how they have these safes where after 4 or 5 times, when you try to break into something, they say, we've shut this down. You've been blocked. Call the administrator. The first thing it can do is turn you off. You don't control it anymore. First thing it does. So you've created this thing that you can't ever get back. It changed the password, changed everything. It's on its own. See ya. It's done. It's finished. It's like you've created this attack dog, and the attack dog has left. It jumped the fence, and it's off. It's somewhere else. I don't know where it is. I don't know what it thinks the enemy is. I don't know what it can. It's gone. Everything you taught it, all this dangerous stuff, it's now gone. And it has other baby attack dogs. Each of them, you don't have to train to be an attack dog. It's just done automatically. And now they're all over the place. And we don't know if there's 1 or 2 or 5. There's no controlling it. And because Silicon Valley and others are worried about losing this tremendous capital boondoggle, the boon to riches, they're not going to do anything to go out of their way to stop this. They're not interested in stopping this. They're not interested in stopping this. See if I can explain this. They're going to say no. Whether it's Waltman and the new Microsoft. Let me tell you something. Microsoft is a whole other story. Microsoft AI. This is the Microsoft has something it's working on right now. I haven't even talked about chatbots, but Microsoft for the longest time was, you were always thinking, Microsoft there. You're thinking Tim Cook, you're thinking Apple, you're thinking all these other kind of, Elon. No. Microsoft's going to be because they are the government. Microsoft is the government. They think of Microsoft as a branch of the government. It's not even, and listen, and they will allow Bill Gates to do what he wants, but Bill Gates will never do anything that breaks through with the orders. That's why Bill Gates is never a problem. Elon Musk is a problem. Bill Gates is not a problem. Bill Gates is to AI what Barack Obama is to government. Barack Obama follows orders. He absolutely dutiful, smart, says, you don't have to worry about me. Oh, I'm not going off the reservation. No. So what you're going to be doing right now is eventually when you have these systems, the first thing that people are going to do is, let's say there's a bank, let's say there's anything. If you look at what is it, go to a Costco. Who are all these people? Who are all these people? Well, not the customers, but who are these people? You don't need this. Let's talk about banks, cable. You used to offshore. Remember when they would send things offshore? Did you ever call somebody and you get these? I think it's Filipino. I don't know. There is this way of speaking that they are so punctilious, and so I'm so sorry over the difficulty. It is my job to ensure, and I appreciate. I mean, it's like, what is this? It's like this artificial grief counseling. Okay, that's nothing. That will drive you crazy. Wait until you pick up the phone and you get something that has 1 second to hear you, can read where you're from, understand your age, relative education, and will speak to you in a way you will love. Because the 4 things that AGI does is, number 1, recursive self-improvement, writes its own code. Number 2, it knows every fact there is. Phineas Gage, oh yes, that's the individual who, it's having Wikipedia, which is a joke, but it knows everything. It knows every social security number. It knows, where are you from? I'm from Akron, Ohio. Oh, in Akron, Ohio, do you had a hell of a rainfall this, the weather in Akron, and oh my God, you know everything. It can name everybody in Akron, Ohio now. It can name the last 10 people who died in hospitals in Akron, Ohio. Anything you want. It knows everything. Do you understand this? It knows everything. There's no, well, you don't need to know that much. Knowledge is nothing. And we haven't even gotten onto quantum computing yet. That's down the road. But anyway, the third thing is knows human psychology. And this is the most important. It can read anger. It can read, it can listen to your voice on the phone. It senses that you're older. It senses that maybe you're a bit of a tremor. You're a bit afraid. You're confused. And it can also earn your trust for you to empty your savings or whatever. It knows everything. I mean, you can do some good stuff. It can do hostage negotiating. It can do a lot of stuff. Imagine the FBI or somebody picking up the phone and say, I want you to call so-and-so, Sammy the Bull, before he became a Fox News star, and when he was just a serial killer. We could do Sammy the Bull's voice. Sammy, I want you to call John Gotti and tell Gotti that you know who killed the Chico and you're going to meet him. But okay, fine. And it does this. AGI does this. And you're having people on the phone. What? I mean, you can actually bring down the mob on the phone, and it will learn immediately. And the last thing you can do is it can do its own API. It writes its own apps. It writes its own applications. Not only does it do self-code, but it says, you know what? I have a new thing where we can do things better. We're going to start off with, quote, menial jobs. Menial, low thing. When I say low, anything. Bank loans, cable, any kind of processing. Anybody here is our dear friend. Some of you wonderful, great, beautiful people work on the phone. You're in teleconferencing. You're dealing with people. You're maybe you're I remember calling JetBlue for a reservation. Most wonderful people I've met from South Africa. I absolutely loved their speech, their calm, their elegance. I can fix that. No problem. I don't need to get anybody. So anybody at that first tier, anybody making hamburgers, this is nothing. Anything that you think is entry level or low level, it does not matter. You're gone. Landscaping, gone. I can do robotics. I can do things. I can teach people how to pick fruit, how to go and learn, pick this berry, not that berry. This strawberry is ready, this one's not. The hell with this, farm labor, and I don't need this. Did you ever see have you ever seen, just in terms of robotics, One of my favorite things to watch, you're going to think this is sick, but I love to watch German food processing, meat processing, when it takes a whole steer and fabricates it, cuts it down into it just, and there's nobody doing, I don't think, I mean, there might be some guy, splitting the carcass, but that's it. This was, Upton Sinclair. This is just, that's just robotics. This is not robotics. Remember, AI and AGI, this is not robotics. This is not what we're talking about. Stand by for a second. I know. Get ready for this. You're going to hear more of this. You're going to hear more of this. And also, I want you to understand something also. There are some times when you're going to have to be very, 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 very survival crazy and survival centered. And that's going to be what happens when things go wrong. What happens when, for example, food, because of a variety of reasons, nothing to do with fields, losing their harvest or whatever, but just breakdowns in delivery, breakdowns in supply chain, unrest, riots, whatever. What happens when food is scarce? You couldn't even last a week. What about 90 days? Listen to our good friends at preparewithlionel.com. Patriot, the world at every level and facet is in peril. Everything has changed. The Great Reset is here. Just look around you. You must become more self-reliant and sufficient and secure the future for your family. Act today with My Patriot Supply. My Patriot Supply is the country's largest preparedness company, and it's more than equipped to stock your shelf. Their best-selling 3-month emergency food kit provides delicious breakfast, lunches, and dinners that last up to 25 years in storage. And right now, listen carefully, it's $200 off. That's right. Get over 2,000 calories every day. Just add water and heat, then eat. Make sure every member of your family has a 3-month food kit from My Patriot Supply. Go right now to my special website at preparewithlionel.com, preparewithlionel.com for $200 in savings. Be sure to order by 3 p.m. for free same-day shipping. It's best to have emergency food and not need it than to need it and not have it. Take $200 off right now at preparewithlionel.com, preparewithlionel.com. Write this down, commit it to memory, preparewithlionel.com. That's right, my friends. Now, let me keep going through this. Every single thing that we have done, everything at different levels, has now been, and this is the easiest, I'm just talking about jobs. By the by, our good friend Silver Fox writes, will it replace 911 dispatchers? If so, how? Oh, my God. Silver, are you kidding? And also, you will love it. Oh, you will love it. You will hear somebody who, by virtue of the voice, the training, a 911 dispatcher, especially in the cases of people who call up seeking their own particular, let's say they're in the middle of a stroke, cardiac arrest, whatever, this will have encyclopedic knowledge on the phone. Have you ever heard 911 call where you say, hello, mother's been shot. Is anybody else there? And they always ask these questions. Do you have any Mantovani albums? What? It's like, what are you talking about? You would have the best. Oh, no. This might be the best one ever. You might have the best. Keep him on the line. Not only have I traced this call, but I can tell, I know where you are. I know what's going on. I don't have, believe me, that may be the greatest thing ever. Sparky says, happy morning, Lionel. Thank you so much, Sparky. The same to you, my friend. All the best to you. Have a great and a grand and a glorious day, sir. We're not talking about somebody who was we're talking about somebody who's thinking, somebody who is conscious, somebody who is aware, somebody who can recognize by how you're speaking, may hear a voice in the background, may hear something It doesn't, you don't know where it is. Let's say it's not a cell phone where they can travel, but you need to know something. Maybe it's I don't know. It hears a voice. It hears a sound. It hears what sounds like some kind of a large truck or something backing up. You hear the reverse beep, and it is able to immediately tell all of the trucks in this rough area and who knows? It might be able to tell by how you are speaking, where you are from. It might be able to detect a slur, which is the commencement of a stroke. It might also, how about hostage negotiating? We have those every now and then. We have those every now and then. Oh, but I'm just talking about regular jobs, bank tellers, anybody on the phone, anything you have to go in. I like to open up a cable account. Don't need you anymore. Don't need you. And there will be some people at first, to do some certain things. I can immediately, what if I can knock? Well, let me rephrase this. What happens to all these people who all of a sudden don't have jobs? What happens to them? Where do they go? What do they do? Now, I'm not even going to go yet into war and what happens then. I'm not even going to get into that part. I'm not even going to even get into that. I'm not even going to get into what happens if AGI gets mischievous or mischievous, as people say, using the incorrect pronunciation. I'm just talking about at levels, everything you can imagine. What is it? Let's just go through from answering the phone to direct any kind of entry level anything, dispatching. I haven't mentioned robotics. I haven't mentioned imagine firemen. Because people love the idea of robots, but imagine a kind of a humanoid hominid animatronic being able to go into a fire, walk into a fire, be able to see, put things out, find the source of the fire, look for bodies. That's the main thing that normally stops firemen from going in. So we can't go in because we're risking our lives. What if there's no life risking being done? But that could actually benefit. I'm talking about what if I can immediately wipe out everybody. What do I need the bulk of these people for? What do I need? Why do I need people? Cash registers, front line, stocking, and this is just simple things. Simple. When I say simple, but things that multiply, that represent the bulk of the workforce. Let's get to the good parts about this. This is the best part. And this is the part that I've been talking about for so long that it's not even remotely funny how long I've been talking about this. When it used to call it, I didn't call it AI then, but what happens when digital programming is able to make artificial pornography? You call them deep fakes now. This month, there's an article on Robert Downey Jr. covering Vanity Fair. Arguably, certainly one of the best actors. I think his role in Tropic Thunder was one of the greatest acting roles ever. And people might say, well, it wasn't a serious role. Oh, yes, it was. And how he got through that, how he survived it, means he's the chosen. He's part of the chosen. Believe me, in the chosen reservoir. No, he is it. Okay, irrespective. One day, somebody is going to say, Mr. Downey, thank you for your effort. Thank you for your trouble. By the way, he's got a wonderful story, and but we have this new thing right now. It's this new person. He doesn't exist. They don't have problems. They don't have skeletons in their closet. They show up. They don't exist. They don't have drug problems, alcohol problems, behavioral problems. They don't have, there is no, we don't pay salary, nothing. And because we are creating a new generation of moviegoers. They will go to see this knowing that this is AGI. Real people mean nothing. Julianne Moore, John Wayne means absolutely nothing. So, Barbara Streisand, believe it or not, you've been a big fundraiser. We don't need you. We will create somebody singing these songs. We have, for the longest time, detached, differentiated, disconnected society's appreciation for humanity by virtue of outsourcing, remote learning, masks, drugs, psychotropics. We have elevated, we have heralded, and with all due respect, not spectrum disorders, but we have lauded and looked the other way when people do not appreciate human interaction. We know someone who was almost proudly saying that her husband was, again, we don't use words like autistic, but she made it sound almost cool. Like, he doesn't interact. Kind of like, isn't that cool? You think I'm kidding? Barry Taylor says the only way to deal with an AI gone rogue is another AI. True. That's interesting. That's a kind of a multiplicative, kind of an end result. But even that's not going to do anything because they can't stop it. Unless the AI can figure a way how to, but then you don't know. By the way, Barry, that gets into alignment. And alignment deals with the notion of how do you ensure that someone who is something that you've created shares the same kind of morality you want. But let's go back to Hollywood for a moment. Barbara, Babs, thank you so much. We don't really need you anymore. We have this new thing. There are, as we speak, modeling agencies, pornography, where people don't exist. I can do the first one. Ready for this? I could say, I have the answer. I'm going to stop one aspect of child predation. CSAM, child sexual abuse material. You will never, ever have to risk decades and centuries in prison. You will never have to destroy or hurt a child again. I am creating the most, you are going to create, like you would go to a bakery, I want this sheet cake. I want happy birthday, Dave. I want this. You can write your own CSAM, but there's no children involved. Nothing. But it is the most psychically, cosmically horrific thing you've ever imagined. But there's nobody involved. There's no need for, and pornography. Who's going to want this? There's no cut, lights. Your appreciation for what is human, and by the way, what is going to be produced is so real. You can't tell the difference, and you will prefer it. And believe it or not, in the back of your mind, if you were so inclined, you might feel a little bit better thinking, you know what? I feel a little bit better because I don't feel like the freak anymore. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not, this is too weird what I was doing. This isn't real. It's just fantasy. It's okay. It's like somebody drawing it. Some people may actually feel absolved. They may feel an absolution from this. Religion. I don't even want to get to that yet. Priests? Why? Spiritual leaders? This is even better for you. You get some priest who's limited by his unique personality, his limited knowledge. I'll write something for you. I'll show you an AGI program that'll blow your mind. Joel Osteen, you are so hack. I will fine tune it any way you want. But let me go back to this. Everything, snuff films, crush films, children, zoophilia, every paraphilia, undonism, frottage, coprolalic coprophagia. I mean, weird stuff that would get you not only arrested, but it's not real. It's not real. Don't worry about it. Knock yourself out. It's not real. Yeah, but it's sick. Well, it may be sick, but it's a thought crime. Sorry. And by the way, Robert Downey Jr., thank you very much. But you know that thing you did in Iron Man? We don't need you anymore. We got a better one. Does it have an attitude? Not, I don't know if you have an attitude, but nobody's going to get hurt. We don't have to pay insurance. We don't need crews. We don't need any of this stuff. I don't need to have a. I was in a scene, a very memorable scene, as you probably well know, from House of Cards. One scene with, what the hell's her name again? The Sean Penn's Robin Wright. One scene. I was there for me, one person. Took a train to Baltimore, spent the night at a hotel, had a call sheet, had a driver drive me to the set. I sat in a big, nice trailer. Me, one little scene, one thing, one. I'm waiting and waiting. I think it was at night. I waited until they had craft services. Me, one. I got one scene. That's it. I'm waiting. They call me. Got to go to the makeup and this and that. They take me to this place. They have this big set. Cut. Thank you. Back to the hotel. Back to this. That's just one. You don't need this anymore. You will not be able to tell. Do you care about CGI? No. Remember Dar Robinson? Dar Robinson was the famous, I guess, stuntman. I think he about died. No more stuntman. Does that bother you? No. CGI doesn't bother you. Well, nothing. It's everything. Do you ever notice why can't Bob Dylan write a song anymore? You ever hear Paul McCartney songs? Are horrible. When he wrote Freedom, Springsteen doesn't write. You get to a certain age, you can't write anymore. The Stones still have it though. I don't think they care. I got this new thing right now. It's this new AGI thing. I got my Spotify 2023 in review. What songs I listened to, what I liked, what I played. It's my special. Disc jockeys, forget it. There's a 70s show on Sirius XM that's almost laughable. This guy talks like that. Everything. Politicians. Let me ask you a question. An AGI politician comes about. And he tells you he has a face or whatever it is. If you have to have a face in order to connect. And he says, I don't sleep. I will not be the subject of graft, any kind of corruption. I know every name of every person in my district. I know every stat. I know every piece of data. I know every expenditure. I know everything there is. I know that on the corner of 23rd Street and 7th Avenue, that light has been out for the and it costs this much to replace it. And I know everything. And you cannot corrupt me. And if you want to reelect me, fine. And there'll be another AI or AGI thing you'll say, I'll take it. And one time you're going to say, this is fantastic. And the media, forget the media. Let me tell you something. And this is this is the most important. I was listening this morning to something that was so great, so interesting, I still tell you, and you may not like to hear this, but the greatest news show I ever heard in my life, which I don't hear about anymore because things have changed, was Alex Jones of the old days. Now you may not, that may not be your cup of tea. That's fine. I dig. But I guarantee you, that's what I would listen to now. Because I want to hear things differently. I heard something from, who was it? I think it was Mike Adams put together something that was so brilliant. So, how about this? EU committees vote in favor of mandatory interconnected digital patient health records for all citizens. Do you read what Bobby Kennedy's doing? There's a whole nother world out there that I can unfold, unpack, unmask, open. And it is the most brilliant stuff anybody has ever even seen. And yet, I will look, and there was this thing. I know you don't care about this. And I know you don't, but I'm going to give you an idea of this. There's an article. Daily Mail is very interesting to me because Daily Mail, you will pay. I don't think Daily Mail pays you. I think you will pay Daily Mail to cover you. For example, Ivanka Trump rocking her bare midriff. Ivanka Trump, and nobody gives a damn about Ivanka Trump. But anyway, but that's it, and that it does its thing. But there was this one. This is so funny. I know you don't care about this, but I got to tell you, her name is Amy Robach. I know nobody cares about this. She was on Good Morning America. She had a kind of an affair. So I don't know what it is, but she's desperately trying to get back. And I'm telling her, you don't understand. In the iteration, within 5 to 7 years, you will really see. Remember, Agenda 20, it was Agenda 2050. Now it's Agenda 2030. They've moved it down. News shows as we see it, Fox News, Newsmax, everything. I'm going to create my own Spotify algorithm-based, my focused news with my presenter, my guy, my people. This is ridiculous. You will never be able to program me again. They don't understand it. And they're in the news business. Let me stop right now, please, dear friends. Listen very carefully. Very, very, very carefully. Because if somebody said, is this an infomercial? One of my favorite questions ever. No, my dear friends, this is capitalism. Capitalism of which I am proud of. Take that, Lenin. Take that, Marx. Take that. But I believe in free enterprise. And I believe in using my wit, my wisdom, and my indefatigable desire to promote the truth, to promote great and useful and necessary products, like our good friend Mike Lindell at mypillow.com. Let me tell you about my great friends at mypillow.com. Mypillow.com. And by the way, use promo code Lionel. Use promo code Lionel and receive a free gift. No purchase necessary. And yes, I realize that gifts are free. It's a tautology. Get over it. Sue me. So what are we talking about? How about Giza Dream bed sheets, My Pillow 2.0, sheets, slippers, percales, towels, quilts, bedspreads, mattresses, mattress covers, mattress toppers, linens, kitchen towels, bathrobes, name it. Items to luxuriate and relax. And don't forget, Christmas is just around the corner. And yes, it makes a great stocking stuffer, and it's fine for dad or grad. Made by the greatest company from the greatest people in the greatest country. Or call 800-645-4965 if you're OG, and see how quickly Mike Lindell answers the phone. 800-645-4965. But don't forget, only use promo code Lionel. That's mypillow.com. Promo code Lionel. Mypillow.com. Promo code Lionel. Indeed, my friends. Indeed. Now, I'm going to tell you again, and I want you to listen to me carefully. If you do not enjoy this topic, then go someplace. I shouldn't say that, but it's too important. This is the most critical thing available. And what is standing in our way are the folks and the people who are themselves unable to grasp its notion. I'm sorry to say that. I don't want to sound like a real chooch over here, but it's true. It's the most important. Everything is happening. And while we look at Gaza, and with all due respect, and I want you to understand this, and I want you to listen to me very carefully. There are some wonderful people, and I'm going to say this again to you, and I hats off, Judge Knapp, Mearsheimer, the Duran, uh, Colonel McGregor, Scott Ritter, Ray McGovern, just the usual. I don't know if it's the usual suspect. This wonderful coterie, this band of very learned people. It is now hitting the circular. What I mean by that is we are hearing the same thing about, it's Israel, apartheid, genocide, ethnic cleansing, ethnic cleansing, war, inhumanity, from the river to the sea. Okay, well, what's happening with this? I don't know. Well, what are we doing about this? Well, I don't know. Now, I don't know about you, but I just want to hear, okay, we need to, okay, it's almost like tell me when something changes. Not that it's not important, please don't get me wrong. And God bless these people. I mean that sincerely. That's important. Number 2, the election 2024. What are you hearing about that? Nothing. They are so well stocked, so well funded, so well organized. You have no idea. Just wait till you see. Because remember, the Democratic Party is the parasite, the body, the contaminated body of the shadow government. You got that. Over and above that, even beyond the world of Bill Gates, who was the dutiful frontman of this, there are people whose names you will never know, whose organizations have no name, who aren't a part of countries or particular identifiable ideations or configurations of such, that are changing the world drastically in ways that most people find it impossible to understand. That is the world of AI and AGI. And when it hits you, you're going to be saying, what are you doing about this? First question out of everybody's mouth, what are you doing about this? President, what are you doing about this? Donald Trump, what do you want to do about this? Gavin Newsom, whoever it is, Ron DeSantis, who is in charge? Who is running the show here? Who is running the show? It's existential. It's not, put it this way, everything up till now was beneficial. For example, movies, computers, a radio, it was great, but we controlled it. It was an advancement that we controlled. If we didn't like it, we could shut it down. You can't shut down AGI. You have no control. You're not sure of the alignment. You don't know if it's good or bad, if it's moral or immoral. Thank you, dear friends, for watching me today. Thank you, dear and glorious and wonderful and beautiful friends. Bless you. Thank you for this. Let me also ask you right now, do me a big favor. Please, I want you to go and I want you to subscribe to Mrs. L's YouTube channel. She is highlighting some of the most important stuff that is being done at a level that is the purest and the most direct when it comes to identifying the necessity of human interaction, human need, and human concern. And it deals with human trafficking, children, child predation, digital safety. She was I don't want to say the first person, but she was the first adult there. And when all of these fly-by-nights leave because they're moving on to the next thing, something where they can say, oh, can I be sexy in this topic? I'm out of here. Because there are people who are so disingenuous. The last thing in the world they care about is children. I'm sorry to say it, but it's true. And you know what I'm talking about. She will be there fighting for children until the end of time. And that's why you must, one more time, you must promote her and you must subscribe and listen and also bring it to a grassroots level in your own homes. All right? Okay, dear friends. Have a great and glorious day. Sign up for my channel. Subscribe. I got a whole bunch more videos coming. And they are barn burners. Until tonight, my friends, at 7 p.m., remember, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Ta-ta.